everybody. In this video, we're going to write the first version of our alternating function. And let's start by doing a quick recap of what we did in our previous video. So remember, we were able to define this function f of n, where you tell it how long you want the list to be, and it returns a length n list that's filled entirely with 3's. So let's copy paste this function from before. Only thing I'm going to do now is I'm just going to rename it constant. So we have our constant function, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this function in a new function that we write. So what I mean by that is let's start by making a function. I'm going to call it alt1 for alternating 1. It's still going to take n as an input. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say my list equals constant of n. And then I want to return my list. All right, so what's going on here is we're saying, okay, in this function, my list is set to the output of constant of n, and then we're returning my list. So it's kind of redundant, but one thing I want to emphasize is that what we don't want to do is copy paste this code into our alt1 function. Reason being is, let's say we make an update to constant, maybe there's an error we found with it, or maybe we just improve the code. And if we call it by name here, then all I have to do is fix the code in one place, and it gets updated here as well. Whereas if I copy pasted it, I'd have to edit it in every single location that it appears. So that's one good reason to not copy paste your code. But okay, so let's just make sure that this is working how we expect. So I'm going to run this cell. Oops, and I'm saying alt1 of n. What am I missing here? Does anybody see? I need the colon. So let's run it now. Looking good. And let's just try alt1 of 5. And we can see here, yep, that returns a list with 5 elements. They're all 3's. So looks good so far. Let's now go back here and say, okay, well, what I want to do is now replace this entry with a 7, this entry with a 7. So start it kind of the first index. So remember, this is 0, 1, 2, 3. And I want to change those odd indices to be 7's. So the way I can do that is let's go back to my function. Let me actually copy paste it. So in case you're looking at these notes later, you can see all the updates we made. This is going to overwrite the alt1 function when I run it. So now I'm going to say for I in, now I'm going to leave range blank for now because we'll figure out what we want it to be in just a moment. But then what I want to do is say, well, my list of I is equal to 7. So remember, all I'm doing here is I'm saying for certain indices, so particularly 1 and 3 in this case, I want to change my list, the element there, to be 7 instead. So remember, the way that we can do this is we can say, let's start at 1. We know that we're going up to n, or it can't go past n really, right, because it's a vector of length n. And let's increase by 2 every time. So it's going to start 1, then it's going to go 3, and then it's going to keep going, but not actually go past n or be equal to n. So let's save this. And let's try running it. Oops, and what did I do again? I forgot the colon. So let's run. I'm going to do alt1 of, let's try it with some even and odd numbers. So let's try 4. So 3, 7, 3, 7, that's looking good. Let's try it again with, let's say, alt1 of 11. Let's see here, 3, 7, 3, 7, 3, 7. And let's see, there's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. So it's looking good so far. And maybe one more time for good measure, we could try alt1 of 10. So we can see here 3, 6, 9, 10 elements, and it's alternating 3's and 7's. So looks like this function is doing everything that we want it to do. That's great. And the nice thing about this strategy is that we never needed to check if the index was even or odd. So what really was done is just range said, give me all of the odd indices and just change them to 7. We didn't have to change that ourselves. In the next video, we're going to see how we could do that by checking ourselves. So checking, is this index even or odd? So thank you for watching. I will see you there.